You ready to do this, Stu?
Maybe.
Well, you sound convinced.
Punch it, Chewy.
Welcome, super friends, to the Fortress of Nerditude podcast, a safe place to talk about all things in nerd and pop culture. I'm Spencer Stapleton, and my co-pilot is Stu Jones.
Yep.
For two nerds that just refuse to grow up, thank you for joining us. This is episode 107. We release every Thursday morning. You can find us on our website, fortofnerd.com. We have links to iTunes, Google Music, Spotify, YouTube, Stitcher, and everywhere podcasts are available. Stop by and relax a while. If you like what you're hearing, hit that subscribe button and get us automatically each and every week in your ear holes. Stu, how are you?
This week is done. Done.
On a Monday, done.
Well, you know, the funny thing is I actually kind of see, since doing the podcast, I kind of see Monday as the end of the week, because this is kind of the wrap up from everything prior. And like tomorrow starts the clock on the next week of stuff. So now I'm telling time by the podcast.
Wow. I like that the podcast has shifted reality around for you a little bit.
Well, I mean, dates and calendars are all arbitrary anyway, aren't they?
I don't know what you're talking about, man. Science. This is important stuff.
Science. Somewhere in the science it is December.
December it is.
Where it's always cold, unless you're in Australia.
Right. Which, speaking of which, I asked my wife what accents she would like to learn to speak. Because I've been watching... Hold on, I'm going to get back here. You'll see how this works. Because I've been watching season 2 of Jessica Jones. Matter of fact, I'm about 25 minutes away from finishing season 2. And Kilgrave, good old David Tennant, makes an appearance in season 2.
Spoiler.
And I was listening to his Scottish accent, and I was kind of looking up, different things to speak with a Scottish accent. And I thought that would be kind of fun to learn and try to work with and, horribly butcher. And so I said to her, Breda, if you could learn any accent, what would you like? And she's like, I don't know. She's like, probably Australian. I was like, oh, yeah. So, it's warm in Australia. Yeah. Good day, mate. How you doing there, Sheila? That's about all. I got nothing.
She's a right, Sheila.
Yeah. Oh, that's the one big whopper. So anyway, your week is now told by the podcast with science and time, wibbly wobbly, timey wimey stuff.
Yeah.
And now this is the end of your week.
Yep, and it can just be done. It's been a rough week. It's been a really rough week. Both daughters sick in one way or another, and just a lot of stress and. Nothing about the only good thing that I can really think of is got all of Morgana's, Santa got all of Morgana's stuff taken care of. So, because if you're doing that online, you got to do it early.
Otherwise, Santa shops online, Stu?
I hear, yeah.
He
reports directly to Bezos.
Santa still comes on Christmas Eve, right? There are two little boys that are listening.
Well, yeah.
Obviously, right?
Well, I mean, elves have technology now. They're all they're disgruntled. They work from home a lot now.
Do you guys do the elf on the shelf thing?
No. Oh my God. That is such a terrible thing.
We got on the elf on the shelf train this year. And my boys named the elf Dobby. And...
Okay.
Every night, Dobby goes back and reports to Santa and comes back in the morning. And this morning, he was sitting on their bookshelf in their room on my paperback copy of The Hobbit. And so we were talking about this. And then tonight, Charlie says, Daddy, can we read The Hobbit? And I said, sure. And then all of a sudden, he looked up at the shelf and he says, uh-oh, Daddy, we can't read The Hobbit because Dobby's sitting on it. And if we touch Dobby, the magic goes away. And I was like, dang it. He's right. So we had to delay reading The Hobbit for another night. We're working our way through it. We're about halfway through. So,
interesting.
Yeah. So we're on board with the Elf on the Shelf. You're not doing that?
No, I don't believe in the whole Christmas through fear thing. But
I believe in whatever works to get my kids to quiet down from time to time. Works for me.
Have better kids. I was really trying. I was really trying not to. You got to go for the joke, I guess.
That was awesome. No. Very, very well played. Very well played.
But no, nothing else going on. Though, this coming week, we talked a little bit about Betrayal Legacy.
Yes.
And
Betrayal on the House of the Hill with the haunting and the betrayal.
Yes. Part 2. So anyway, so I was thinking, and I know I've talked a little bit about this, but I've also talked to a couple other people.
Yeah.
And it's looking like I would be able to get together a group on Saturday to play the original Betrayal at House on the Hill. Kind of like as a feeler to see if everyone even likes the game, if there are people that are even interested in it, can play it mechanically, all that kind of stuff. And I had a feeler out to you to see if you would be able to participate. And I'm still waiting. So if I could talk to Brita for a minute so she can let me know if you can go or not.
Right? You did message me and I said, I got to talk to the boss.
You did.
And then I promptly forgot because I was in the middle of like 6 things, and then I didn't get a chance to talk to her for like another hour or two. But I did message her later, or I talked to her in person. I can't remember what. But one way or another, I did talk to her and I said, hey, Stu's going to try to put together this thing. We've been kind of talking about trying to get together on a Saturday that might work. And I said, what are we doing this upcoming Saturday between like 1 to 5-ish? And she's like, I don't know. I don't think there's anything going on because this Friday is Charlie's birthday.
Sure.
And so we've got some plans. I'm going to take him out for breakfast that morning and then drop him off at school. And we're going to do cake and ice cream in the evening with the family. And we may go out to dinner as a family. So I don't think we have any plans. So I think I'm free. I just have to make one last double check and then put it on my wife's calendar so she remembers that I've got this scheduled. Because I tend to find, and I know she's going to listen to this later, so I have to be very careful. But I tend to find that I will talk to her. I will get approval for me to be out of the house and her to be left with the kids for a couple of hours. And I'll make plans. And then like the night before I said, hey, just to remind you, I'm going to be out tomorrow for a couple of hours. And then she's like, wait, what? And I was like, yeah, we talked about this. And she's like, oh, well, I thought that was a different time. And now I wanted to do something, or I wanted a plan for us to do this and that. And then it's kind of like, because her expectations were different, because she didn't remember, or I didn't remind her in enough advance. Sometimes it causes a little bit of friction, which happens from time to time.
Friction. So yeah, I kind of actually had my own kind of event like that this week. Is Morgana's Court of Awards. It's the annual Girl Scout thing.
Court of Awards. Okay.
Yep, where they do like all the badges and stuff. The big ones and whatnot. And they have a big dinner where everybody and their family is going to be there. We have 80 people there.
Wow.
Amber is going to come up and participate in that. And she got the logistics for me and the times we were working out. It was going to be Friday, 6 p.m., yada, yada. I knew all this stuff. Morgana's usual day for Girl Scouts is Thursday. So she's been getting a ride from a friend and all that stuff. And I was thinking, hey, it's a big Court of Awards. I'm just going to take her on Thursday. She doesn't need a ride, yada, yada. And this friend messaged me today saying, hey, I need to actually go early on Thursday. Let me know if you want me to take Morgana with, or whether you want to drop her off and stuff. I'm like, oh, it's the Court of Awards. I'm just going to take her. Now, if you've been paying attention, I noted that the dinner was on Friday, but the ride thing is on Thursday. And I've made all my plans for this week around Thursday night being the night for the Court of Awards thing.
Yep.
So I've got Girl Scout stuff 2 nights this week. Though it actually works in my favor because I have a whole extra day to make the dessert that I'm going to bring and stuff. So,
are you bringing the twice baked potato casserole dish?
That is not a dessert.
It is for a lot of people, right?
Nope. I'm just taking some Nilla wafer pudding stuff.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I may just take the 2 unprepared boxes in the box of Nilla wafers and just throw it in the middle of the pile of all the food.
Here, girls, you can figure this out. You're industrious.
You know what
That's
to
why
do
you're
with
getting
cookies.
awards.
You're Girl Scouts.
Right.
Man, I wish I had like a box of some of the little shortbread cookies or something like that, or a couple boxes, and use the Girl Scout cookies in the pudding instead of Nilla wafers.
Oh, yeah, man.
That would have been a good hat tip.
You'll have to remember that for next year.
Yeah,
so
I won't.
I find that I try not to like treat scheduling stuff in my marriage like I do at work with like just put it on an Outlook calendar. However, as more time's gone by, it's just easier when my wife says, hey, I need to schedule this and this is when I want to go vacation. I said, honey, just add it to your Google Calendar, share it to me. It'll go on my calendar. Then I see it. Then I know what's going on. I have no excuse. I'll set alarms, reminders. And so I think tonight, when I'm done with the podcast, I'm going to set a calendar event for Saturday from 1 to 5 at Stu's house, Casa de Stu. And
Casa de Jones.
Casa de Jones. Nice. And then I'll just send it to her and say, just a reminder, I'm going to be gone from this time. I'm pretty sure I'm okay. Like, I don't think there's anything that has to happen.
If you can find out that last piece as soon as you can, though, just so everyone that's going to plan on showing up knows for certain that we're gold, that would be helpful.
Yep. I will message you tonight after the podcast is over.
Super.
So, yes.
So we'll be getting that on. There's an expansion to the game that came out actually only recently. Betrayal at House on the Hill has been out for quite a while.
Did you just say we're going to be getting that on?
Yes.
Okay.
I did not use my Barry White voice, though, so settle down. And then I got a little... there's a little booster pack thing you can get for the game that just gives some improved components to it that just kind of nice it up a little bit.
Nice.
Tarting up the game to get it on.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll see how it goes. So it should be fun. If nothing else, then we'll just have a fun game. If it does work out and everyone likes the game and we can make logistics work, then maybe we can give that Betrayal Legacy a shot down the road.
I like it.
I like it too.
I like it.
And also, Brady wants to play D&D really bad in person.
Oh.
Just saying.
So I'm developing a one-shot because I need something real kind of quick to run with a group of people, just for a quick one-shot type of deal. And I might have to get that together and we can play test that sometime.
I want a campaign, man.
Oh, I've got
now that
stuff
I don't have the board game group going on Saturdays.
I've got stuff for that. We'll have to talk.
We'll talk on Saturday.
Yeah, we'll have to talk on Saturday. I also have another idea for Saturday, if I can make it work out. And I don't want to make any promises yet, because I don't know what the temperatures are going to look like, and I don't know if I can make all of this swing together. But if I could get that old potbelly cooker fired up, and we could make up some ribs or something to eat while we're playing.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, barbecue sauce. That's the perfect accoutrement to board games.
I understand there's some logistics involved.
As long as it doesn't make the gaming late.
No, because what I was actually thinking was that I'd be able to maybe start it early in the morning or just bring the potbelly cooker over to your place, set it up in the back so we could be smoking the ribs there. So I could just hop outside real fast, once an hour or so, check on it. I don't know, just the thoughts.
I do have dinner plans after the gaming.
Sorry, everyone that's going to show up. Your potbelly cooker ribs now just disappeared because Stu's got plans.
Yep. Terrible person.
Yeah, well, what are you going to do? Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about my week. I did mention that Jessica Jones Season 2 I'm almost finished with. I've been finding that I have so many things I want to watch, Stu. I don't have enough time. And so I decided, you know what? When I'm walking on the treadmill downstairs, since I'm kind of inside now for the winter time, I'm taking my tablet down, I'm firing up the Netflix, and I'm just like working my way through stuff. So that's kind of my plan right now. I just try to knock out, because on a Netflix show like Jessica Jones, it's like, 12, 13 episodes long. I can watch an episode during one of my sessions on the treadmill. So in the space of about, 2 weeks, I can knock out a show. Just doing that alone. Yeah,
I've actually I did pick up Iron Fist again. Every few days I'm watching an episode. I'm actually I'm 2/3 of the way through it, and it's actually, I dare say, getting good. It took 2/3 of the season to get good, but I'm actually really intrigued by what's going on now, and of course now I all know it gets canceled anyway. So
Right. I want to get to Iron Fist, but I decided that I'm going to go back and watch the ones I've missed and do it in order. So I'm going to watch Jessica Jones Season 2, then Luke Cage Season 2, then Iron Fist Season 2, and then, of course, it'll be Daredevil Season 3 and Punisher Season 2.
There is definitely some continuity. It's not a lot, but it's subtle enough and just mentioned here and there that watching them in order does add a certain credibility to the events.
Yeah. Over the weekend, I had 3 Christmas parties this last weekend. I had Brida's work party, which was Friday night, which was a lot of fun. We had a babysitter come over and watch the boys, and we went to Zucca's. It's an Italian restaurant on 25th Street in Ogden, and they always do this, like every other year. Her company does an auction where they give you a bunch of just little beans, and you get to bid with beans on items and prizes. And there wasn't anything that I saw that looked really, really solid that I wanted. In past years, there's been some cool stuff, some hard drives or pocket knives or kitchen cutlery or KitchenAids or whatever. And so this year, since there was nothing I really wanted, I just bid all my beans on a mystery box, and I won it. And in the mystery box was a set of 4 mixing bowls that looked to be a pretty nice set. So I've got now my 3rd set of mixing bowls. So I think it's time for me to...
Are they plastic or metal?
No, these are ceramic.
They're
ceramic. They're kind of nice. They got a design on them. They got a little pour spout on the one side. They can go in the oven. They can go in the microwave. So they're actually not half bad. I've got a plastic pair that I like, but I can't microwave them, which is the problem. So that was fun. We did that. And then on Saturday morning, we got up and our church was having a Christmas party, but it was more like a Christmas breakfast. And so we did a Christmas breakfast, and they kind of did a reading of the Polar Express book, and they kind of dressed up, and all the kids got to get a ticket and go sit there. And then one of the guys in the church came around and, was wearing the conductor kind of outfit and was punching the tickets, and then they all, delivered hot cocoa to the kids, and they all got a little bell to jingle. So if you know this book or you've seen the movie, you kind of know what it's all about. But my kids loved it. It was just a low-key kind of Christmas thing. It wasn't, I don't know, man. I've been to some church kind of Christmas things, parties, and they go all out, and there's Santa, and there's recreations of nativities, and there's all these readings from the Bible, from the New Testament, and music, and they can get really intense. I mean, they're great, but they get really intense and long. And this was just they read that thing for the kids. They talked a little bit about trying to do some service in our area around the Christmas time, stepping it up a little bit more than usual. Breakfast, and that was it. It was in, out, hour, and we were done. It was kind of nice. Breakfast burritos weren't half bad either, although the eggs and sausage could have used a little salt and pepper. But
you don't take your own salt and pepper everywhere you go?
I should. I really should. Bust out that old fanny pack and be I got my own salt, pepper, and a little, hot sauce or something.
Oh, yeah.
So then the 3rd party was Saturday evening. It was for my motorcycle club, and I ran my mom over to Costco and then down to Trader Joe's to do some shopping, because her husband's kind of doing some seasonal UPS work. And so he was gone, and she's got her kind of bum leg right now while she's kind of rehabbing it. And so she's not driving. So I took her around. And then when I got back, I was okay, we got to go. and I got home and Brita said, hey, Jackson's running a fever. And he was running a fever of like 100 and almost 2 degrees.
Yep.
So she stayed home with Jackson, and she thought like, she's like, okay, well, and I could see it on her face. She was sad. She wanted to go, and I wanted her to come. And she's like, well, I guess I'll stay here with both of the boys. I was like, no, I'm still going to take Charlie. I'm like, that way you can just deal with Jackson. You don't have to have, Charlie running around. And so Charlie came with me. It was down in Springville, up Hobble Creek Canyon. We had no cell coverage. But it was this amazing, amazing house. And the food, though, got there like an hour and a half, almost 2 hours late, which was right about the time when we needed to leave in order to get back home to make normal bedtime for Charlie. And so we were just kind of playing, and Charlie was playing with one of the little girls of one of the other club members. Her name is Sophie. And they were just having a great time, just a great time. Charlie was so happy that she was there. And they were playing some pinball games. They were in this upstairs room. They were playing air hockey, which was great because like I didn't have to like, kind of keep an eye on him, and I got to, right. Interact and have a good time as well. The food was good. We did a white elephant gift thing, and then we hit home for home, and of course then I got cell coverage, and Brita calls me and says like, where are you guys? You're supposed to be home like an hour ago. It's like 9:00. I was like, yeah, just leaving, no cell coverage. I didn't want to leave because we hadn't eaten yet, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, we get almost all the way home, and Brita calls me and says, hey, can you go pick up some medicine for Jackson? It's now like 10:30, and I'm rolling up to a Walgreens. Charlie's falling asleep in the back of the truck, and so I have to like wake him up.
In the back seat of the truck, not the back.
Yeah. I just had him in the bed of the truck.
Old
it was
school.
Like 20 degrees outside, no coat. No, he had a coat. He's in the back seat of the truck. Thank you for the clarification. But I had to wake him up, and then he was just like so like kind of unaware of where he was. He's like, Daddy, are we home? He's like, no, buddy, we're at the store. We got to get medicine for Jackson. He just kind of went, okay. And it was like the most pathetic, sad Charlie Brown walk I've ever seen. I mean, he was just barely keeping his head up as we were walking through Walgreens and got the medicine we needed and paid for it and walked back out. Got home, he just like dropped his coat, kicked his shoes off. And he's like, Daddy, can I just go to bed in my clothes? And he was wearing like, sweatpants and a shirt and then a sweater. And I was like, yep. And so he just crawled right in bed and bang, was asleep within like maybe a minute. But, yeah, so like, so Christmas parties, and then Jackson was sick, and, just kind of the usual stuff. But yeah, but I'm happy to be here. And we had some big things happen also this weekend we're going to talk about tonight, and I'm super excited about that. So
you don't say.
Yeah, just a little bit. So anyway, Stu, that's all for my week.
Sure, rub it in.
What do you think we should do next? Should we?
I'm just pushing the Bothans off the cliff one by one.
You don't really want to kill them. That like you don't want to torture them or anything. This
I want to
week?
hear the screams as they fall. What do Bothans sound like when they're screaming?
If a Bothan screams and no one's there to hear it, does he really die?
Do we really get the rebel intelligence?
Yeah.
I think so. Let's do it.
I always have to let you know, many Bothans died to bring us this information.
Rest in peace, you Bothans.
All right, Stu, we're into Rebel Intelligence. What do you have for me this week?
There's this little Marvel movie that came out earlier this year that you may have heard of that was not Infinity War, called Black Panther.
Yeah.
I know that you've been on the fence about liking it, not liking it, giving it another shot, a rewatch. Regardless, it's been extremely popular and doing some things that other movies haven't done, like the first movie to be shown in Saudi Arabia in X number of years.
Right, yeah.
Huge internationally. It definitely broke a couple barriers that it was in a unique position to do so. So while Infinity War did not get any Golden Globe nods, which is just unbelievable, Black Panther is nominated for 3 Golden Globes.
Wow.
2 of them being music for Best Original Song and Best Original Score, which I do recall it being pretty good music there throughout the movie. But it is also up for Best Picture for Drama.
Drama?
Which is the big cheese for the Golden Globes. Well, I mean, there isn't a real sci-fi kind of thing or whatever. It's basically drama, comedy, musical, that kind of stuff.
Oh, okay, yeah. So there's not like an action category.
I'm not sure.
I think you're all right. I think it's drama, comedy, and musical are the categories of the Globes.
Yep. So, yeah. So, I mean, that's big. And, I mean, for me personally, the Academy Awards I find to be completely garbage. That's all marketing. That's all backdoor deals. Movies are prepping for their Oscar nominations and stuff. You know, they time when the movie's coming out, all that kind of thing. Golden Globes, however, seemed, at least to me, to be based on, you know, actual opinions and merits of the people that are involved. And it just tends to have a lot more credibility for me to have Golden Globe nominations rather than Academy Awards. Though I would not be surprised to see some Academy nominations for Black Panther. But
so let me jump in here.
Yeah.
I have problems with the Golden Globes. I think the Golden Globes are like a fun award show. They're definitely more fun. They're not as stuffy as the Academy Awards, but they're nominated and voted on by the Hollywood Foreign Press. So it's all the outside of Hollywood people that report on Hollywood, foreign, that are voting on it. So sometimes they're not truly indicative. Sometimes they, you get ideas of what's going to come to the Academy Awards based on that. Sometimes they're completely off.
But they don't have a skin in the game. That's the big difference between the Academy Awards and the Golden Globes. True. But I know at the Academy Awards though, like they send the award ballots to like producers, actors, directors, but they usually send them to people who aren't in the films that are being nominated, if that makes sense. So, like, you can't vote for your own stuff all the time. Yeah, but there's a lot of studio level drama going on.
Sure.
I mean, there are people that are affected by the outcomes of the Academy Awards, even if it's not the movies that they're in. It's a business and political deal all up the wazoo.
Sure. Yeah, there's campaigning and people are trying, making it a popularity thing to try to, get people to vote. I get that. Here's my thing, though, with the Golden Globes. Nominating for like best picture, best soundtrack, best, sound editing. Sure, I get that. Maybe some of the cinematography categories, I could see that. But best picture, I do not think that Black Panther was that high of a quality of a movie. I think that it had a ton of hype. I think that it had a ton of hype for the barriers it was breaking due to some casting, due to directing.
But I'm going to disagree.
But as far as like the movie itself, to me, I was like, it seemed to me like an average Marvel movie. Like if you would have taken some of the hype this one had because of some of the casting and some of the directing choices and applied that to Winter Soldier, would Winter Soldier have been nominated? If you would have done that with, Ant-Man and the Wasp, I just feel like that movie to me.
Your opinions of Black Panther, though, have been proven to be in the minority. I mean,
that doesn't mean I'm wrong.
No, it doesn't. But if more people think it is a best picture than you do, then that's kind of where that comes from.
I just think that there's a lot of times people get on the hype train, and I think that's the case with Black Panther.
It wasn't just hype though. If it continued its success after it released, and people kept going back to see it over and over again, which they did.
Do you think Titanic was an amazing film?
Yes.
I think it was an okay film, but there was a lot of hype and a lot of people went back to see it.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily
people can like
great.
The movie and think it's one of the better movies.
I get that. I do, but I always look at like these awards. It's like we want the best picture to be based on categories like, technical brilliance and, amazing acting and directing and kind of all these things rolled into one for best picture. And if it's just like, I liked it more than other movies out that year, that doesn't necessarily mean it's the best picture that was, that
By
came out that
standards? Because I mean, to me, that's like best picture is favorite movie of the year. And
I don't think that. I mean,
by definition,
I don't think that's actually the definition. I don't think that's the favorite movie. It makes the best picture, because I think there's been plenty of movies that, because if you did that, okay, this is where I want to get in. If you did it by that, then wouldn't you just go by saying, okay, these movies made the most money in the U.S. box office or the foreign box office? Those, by definition, would be profitable, meaning more people went to see them, meaning they're more popular. So then wouldn't it just be a cash grab for whatever movie made the most money?
Because you could have more people show up to their first screening of the movie, not like it and not go back and still have it make more money than, say, a movie like The Martian that didn't do so well for opening weekend, that kind of thing, but then more people did keep coming back and seeing it over and over again. I mean, those are two different metrics to measure by.
Sure.
But, I mean, if enough people who are responsible for the nominations of the Golden Globe feel that was their best movie of the year, even if they have different standards than you do, that doesn't mean just because you didn't necessarily like it for those things that they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a nomination. I mean, maybe it's not going to win. I don't even know who it's up against.
I don't know who it's up against either.
I mean, I personally would say that Infinity War was a much better picture, and I would have rather have seen that because it was much deeper and meaningful, but I know a lot of people loved Black Panther for reasons that I didn't even like it as much for, but it doesn't make the nomination invalid, I don't think.
I don't know. I got a drum to beat. I'm not high up on the Black Panther thing, and maybe it's just just
okay. But if you're not, that
whatever,
doesn't.
But,
I mean, other people can be.
Yeah. I just anyway. Let's move on. Okay, you remember a little while ago we've kind of talked about it's the Ross and Rachel of the Marvel comics. Will the Vader series come out? Won't it come out? Chuck Wending's out, Chuck Wending's in, blah, blah, blah. Actually,
well, the last bit was that they decided to just scrap it all together, right?
Yeah, they scrapped it all together. However, now there's a new announcement saying that there is a new Star Wars comic series coming out called Vader Dark Visions that's going to be a limited miniseries that's going to release in March. That's going to be just basically 2 months after the Chuck Wending penned Shadow of Vader miniseries was set to debut. And that basically they've got some writers and some art directors and whatnot that are coming on board, and that it's basically not going to be the same, but it sounds very familiar because it basically is kind of the same idea. This is going to be stories about Darth Vader being told by people who were kind of around him or had encounters with him, which is pretty much kind of the same premise as the Shadow of Vader series that was going to come out. So while we're not going to get Chuck Wending's version of this comic miniseries, we are going to get a version of it. So if you were super depressed, like I kind of was, because I really wanted to see this and read this, we are going to still get some more Darth Vader in the comics. How about that?
Good. It's where Darth Vader belongs.
You think you'd read something like that?
Yeah. Heck yeah. I've actually, there was there was a Vader series just a couple years ago. I got them all. Haven't read them, but I got them all. I should read them. But no, I love how Star Wars has been adapted into other formats. And I mean, that started way, way, way back with the Star Wars radio dramas. Star Wars definitely creeps out of the movies in some pretty impactful pop culture ways. And I love comic adaptations of them. The art is fantastic. Sometimes I love some of it even more than parts of the original films, like that Japanese New Hope thing that we saw a couple weeks ago.
Oh, that was so cool.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, every medium that it can come out to is definitely exciting and gets other people involved and satiates that need for people that love it. Vader is definitely my guy, and I should definitely read that stuff.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. Did I tell you that I finished Chuck Wending's trilogy of Star Wars books today?
No.
I just finished the third book today. Now you know, I've told you. And it was really interesting because this book series is supposed to take place about 9 months or so after Return of the Jedi ends, or kind of like it starts like a couple months after and ends about at the 9-month mark after, basically with the birth of Ben Solo, who will become Kylo Ren. I really didn't know kind of how I felt about it through the first book, but as the second and third book really got rolling, I really started to care a little more for his new characters he created, and there were some interesting characters. My only complaint about the book series was no Luke. Every other character, Han Solo, Chewie, Leia, Lando, they all kind of got some time. Mon Mothma, even, was kind of a character. Wedge Antilles was a character in the book series. But, like, he just basically just kind of ignored Luke altogether and was barely briefly mentioned a time or two.
Yeah, it wasn't... Well, I mean, that may have been pretty deliberate, though, because... excuse me. My details are probably waffly here, but I believe that for, like, the first couple years after Luke went to train on his own before preparing for teaching with the Jedi Temple...
Yeah, that's the thing. Everything's kind of up in the air now. So I kind of don't know either the full details of what's now canon.
Well, I mean, for what we know to be canon with extended universe kind of stuff. I mean, that's really that timeline between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens. Yeah, they can call it whatever they want, but from the events that we understand to have taken place, he trains for about a year or maybe 2 years. Then he opens the Academy, which then opens up quite a few stories from the extended universe, and especially around young adults, novelizations and so forth. I need to read that one that Zahn just published with Vader and Thrawn, and then Zahn is also writing another Thrawn book.
I did see that, yes.
That, as much as I love Vader, Thrawn does something for me that he is sinister.
I want to get to that too, only because I want to see if Thrawn in the new series, which is considered canon now, feels like the Thrawn from the old EU.
Yeah.
Because it's the same author writing him, so I don't know why he wouldn't write him any different. And maybe have an opportunity to, basically bring that character in and bring back some of the story elements and the highlights of his character from before.
It wasn't just the character either. Around Thrawn, Zahn brought a level of intrigue to the Empire that hadn't been seen before. So yeah, I would everything that surrounds Thrawn, I would love to see. Yeah, I would love to have that question answered as well.
I would recommend the Chuck Wendig books. They were pretty good, and they did give some other interesting stuff to kind of like the Empire and what the Empire would be like immediately after the fall of Palpatine and Vader. So it was kind of interesting.
One thing at a time, man. If
I'm
actually going to read for pleasure again, it's going to be the Thrawn stuff.
Yeah.
In about 20 years when I can no longer see well enough to play video games.
All right, what else you got, Stu?
So there have been a couple, I lose my notes here. So there have been a couple Marvel Ultimate Alliance games, and a couple side versions thereof. But basically, Ultimate Alliance was basically this idea of action RPG kind of games, where you go through kind of Diablo-esque, going through different missions, and you're working for S.H.I.E.L.D. or whoever at the time, taking on the bad guys. But it was a great big mashup of a lot of different characters, and you could play a lot of these different characters, and they all had their own unique powers. They played a lot like the characters as you would imagine from the comics, that kind of thing. The further along they've got, the more Diablo they've become, like to include earning XP and stuff like that, and branching out skill trees for these characters. But the last one we've seen was quite a while ago. Let's see, what was that? Anyway, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, The Black Order, has now been announced. It's going to be a Switch exclusive, which I'm not entirely sure of, though. I think Switches would be the best platform to play it on, but it would be nice to throw down on PS4 or whatever the case may be. But So it's going to be an original story featuring basically the X-Men, the Avengers, and for the first time in Ultimate Alliance history, the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Cool. That sounds cool.
Yeah, I am stoked. It was fun because it was like, even though you had missions, it was just cool to get a couch co-op with a few of your bros or whatever, or sisses, your Sheilas, whoever, just going at it
Blokes
with whatever.
or Sheilas.
Right. With whatever group of characters that you would throw together and just have some good Marvel superhero smash up good time. And another thing here is that it definitely ties in more with the MCU's version of the Marvel characters. Obviously, the popularity of Thanos and the Black Order. The heroes definitely appear more MCU-esque, especially for those that are more related to it. Though X-Men, of course, have not had their heyday in the MCU yet. Mm-hmm. And of course, you got the Guardians of the Galaxy thrown in with the Avengers, and so yeah, I mean, it's if you like action RPGs or action games of that style, my favorites were definitely the Ultimate Alliance games. So Ultimate Alliance 3 is going to be right up my alley, and I will be spending gobs of hours sitting on the toilet playing that on my Switch.
So you said it's an exclusive. Is it a full exclusive or just like a timed exclusive, like it could come to other consoles?
It says exclusively to Nintendo Switch.
Oh, wow. Wow. Okay.
So I'm not really surprised. They have been exclusive before, but I'm not against exclusivity, but having it on other platforms with other people to play it is always cool too. But there are marketing reasons, there are IP control reasons, and ultimately it's their publishing at work, so whatever they feel they need to
do. You think this game would be a good game to, like, I could play with my boys, that they could watch and kind of be involved in?
That's a tough one. The first one I would have said yes. The second one, though, I don't know. The second one definitely had some kind of more mature stuff. They don't have an ESRB rating on this just yet. Okay. Switch does manage things, lets adults control content. Standard blurb on the articles. But we'll have to keep an eye on that, because that would be tricky.
Okay, well, maybe I'll take a look and see what the ESRB comes out, and then also maybe some like footage of it and kind of get an idea. Just because I know my kids are really starting to get into some of the Marvel characters and like recognizing, like tonight we got Happy Meals and they got a little Spider-Man toy that's came with it for Into the Spider-Verse, and like they're excited about that movie, and so it's PG, and I think they'd be able to be okay to go see that. And so, like, they're kind of getting into that, but, they're still a little young. I mean, Jackson's only 4. He'll turn 5 in April, and Charlie's turning 6 on Friday. So, I mean, I have to be conscious of what I'm, putting them in front of, but...
Yeah, I mean, I'm not one to really... Now, if there's obvious, like, I would never put my kids in front of Mortal Kombat, for example.
Right.
That's definite adult-oriented content and so forth, but, I don't know. And I mean, you definitely parent how you need to, and that's the most important thing, is that you actually have skin in the game and you care about that in one way or another. And I've thought about that with my kids, and I'm not so worried about it, but it's really like parents to just let their kids go and do anything without even caring or knowing about it in the first place that bugs me. And so,
yeah, gotcha.
But I mean, I don't know. I'll definitely check it out, so I'll let you know.
Definitely. All right, the last thing I've got here. Big Doctor Who fan over here. I'm a Whovian, but I'm still a little behind. Like I said, I've got
Jodie Whittaker makes me want to watch Who.
Right? I want to see her season. I've got to finish the last Capaldi half season and then catch up. So her season just ended. Usually we have a Christmas special, and there's not going to be a Christmas special this year. Instead, they're doing like a New Year's Day thing. But of course, everyone's big question is, will she come back for another season? And she has confirmed, BBC officially hasn't confirmed, but she has confirmed that she's extremely excited to come back. Can't wait to start filming season 12, which will start filming early 2019. which has been interesting for me. I've been kind of keeping an eye on this without really trying to get too deep into it because I don't want to ruin anything. Anytime there's a shift with a regeneration and you go to a new doctor, it takes time for that actor to really find a base with the fans and for the fans to accept the new version of the Doctor. Mm-hmm. And this also happened with the changeover for showrunners. Chris Chibnall's now running it. And the season opener had like the highest rated season premiere since the reboot. And then I know that shortly after that, though, the numbers started falling back down to kind of normal levels where Doctor Who kind of usually pulls in. And so I've been trying to follow, I know I see a lot of people saying they love her. I see a lot of people saying that they don't really care for her yet. But I don't take that as a bad thing. I just take that as a sign that, not all fans are, on board yet. Because to be honest, when David Tennant regened into Matt Smith's version of the Doctor, I did not like Matt Smith's version of the Doctor at first. He was not David Tennant. I thought David Tennant was the perfect Doctor, and I still hold that to be the case. 10th Doctor is my favorite Doctor. But it was about somewhere towards the end of the first season of Matt Smith that I really started to like Matt Smith. And then as his seasons went on, I really enjoyed him. So for me, I think that Jodie's probably doing a great job, and everyone who's kind of, worried, if she should come back or whatnot, probably just needs more time to kind of get on board with her if they're longtime Doctor Who fans, because it takes a while to, break that emotional bond you had with another actor who played the role and be able to kind of identify with the new version. So
as an outsider to Doctor Who, I think I have kind of a perspective, whether it's valid or not, that from where I sit, there have only been a few Doctors that have really just iconically screamed out Doctor Who. Tom Baker, Tennant, and honestly, Jodie Whittaker. Like, just in the scenes that I've seen, she just seems to absorb the persona of the Doctor. Eccleston, I know some people love him, some people don't, but he never, whether you liked him or not, whether you liked the series or not, I never saw him and thought, that's Doctor Who. And Jodie Whittaker definitely pulls that off like Tennant does, in my opinion. So,
see, that's interesting coming from someone who's not seen it, and you identify with that already. The thing is, I think with Doctor Who is the Doctor's character and personality can change with every regeneration. Yeah. So Eccleston's personality, the way he played the Doctor, I thought was okay. It was fine. But the David Tennant version of it, it really hit me. Like, I was like, yes, this is the Doctor. This makes sense for me. I identify more with this. I could see this being the way, the Doctor would respond in whatever said situation. Matt Smith, I got on board with. Peter Capaldi, he's not been my favorite. I've struggled with his version of the Doctor. Not that he plays it poorly, but just sometimes, the way the Doctor gets written for a new actor, sometimes, can just be different enough. There was the War Doctor who, doesn't, kind of isn't in the continuity of the Doctors, but still was a Doctor, that some people liked, some people didn't, because you only really saw him once. Tom Baker, obviously, but William Hartnell played it completely. It's just, I don't know.
That's the
nature of the show.
Yeah, and that's part of what the show is. It's just, if you think about, I don't know, from where I was not having really watched much of it, to say that someone really oozes Doctor Who, from an outside perspective, there are only those few people that have.
And Stu, what's interesting though about this is like Jodie's got the challenge of trying to win over all the hardcore Doctor Who fans that are going to want to watch it, whatever, right? But I always look at it as that if the new Doctor can bring in new fans, you're always going to have fans that are going to be like, no, this Doctor's crap. I don't like this Doctor. It's not my favorite. So I'm having a hard time watching the show. But every few seasons, you're going to have a chance to, refresh it. But if you can bring in new people that maybe haven't watched it before, and I think Jodie is doing that.
Well, that's exactly where I am on that fence.
You can get, you can introduce a new crop of viewers to the show, and then they can eventually go back and, do other stuff. But I also feel like a lot of people fall in love with the first Doctor that they really see. And for me, that was David Tennant, and I went back and watched the Eccleston stuff. And I know people who started with Matt Smith loved Matt Smith because that was their first Doctor. So Jodie could be in a good place. I have yet to see it, so I can't say. But man, I'm hoping she's just killing it.
I may end up binging everything because I'm not going to be able to watch it without kind of catching up. And of course, I will catch up from the reboot. I won't go all the way back in time.
Yes, start with what they used to call the New Who.
Yeah,
the reboot. Yeah. Don't go back to the old 1960s because I won't even do that. So
I did try that once. That lasted like 3 episodes. So I was like, how did people watch this stuff?
Because it was the 60s, right?
They were high.
Sure. Or it was the best thing on British television at the time. So anyway, that's the last thing I had. Did you have anything else?
Nope.
Awesome.
Except people are really mad about Fallout 76.
That is true.
Really bad.
I hear it's very, very buggy.
Anyway.
Yeah, we should talk about that another time because I want to play a Fallout game I never have, and I thought 76 was going to be the thing.
No.
And I'm hearing stay clear of it. Mm-hmm. But anyway, Stu, last week we had a great conversation, a conversation that I think you and I totally dug about the space race and kind of like space exploration. And we asked our super friends, what is your favorite space race movie? And as a bonus question, what movie should we watch as a sidekick? Have you been thinking about which movie we should watch as a sidekick this week?
I really, 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 really want to watch Martian again.
I almost watched The Martian this week, and I was like, no. This is probably what's going to happen, and I don't want to do this because I feel like I would be, cheating on Stu if I watched this.
I don't know. There's so much coming up with the holidays, though. Oh.
Right? So, anyway, we asked the Super Friends. Peter Christensen over on the email, which is fordofnerd@gmail.com, he says, Dear Nerds, I watched Friends in the 90s, but lost interest before the end. We tried rewatching some of it, but it just didn't do it for me. The laugh track killed the pace, and the characters were all horrible, horrible people. So I was very surprised to learn of the global popularity of the show when 2 different Indian women that I work with have Work Friends branded clothing that they wear to work. Apparently, lots of people everywhere really do care if Ross and Rachel will or won't. Also, it's hard to watch Ross after seeing David Schwimmer play the psycho Captain Sobel in Band of Brothers. I agree. He says, I've enjoyed almost all of the Marvel Netflix shows, but I have no interest in seeing these versions of the characters as movies. I love the tight, just short of frenetic pace of Infinity War, but I also love the patience of, for instance, a 9-minute conversation between Matt Murdock and his priest. Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah.
I do agree. He says, I loved Conan as a kid, but didn't see Red Sonja until I was an adult. It's not good, even by 80s budget standards. I'm skeptical of a Home Alone remake, but knowing Ryan Reynolds is in charge gives me hope. Home Alone was one of my most joyfully irreverent movies of my childhood, and Reynolds captures that spirit today. I've got something to add to the discussion of remaking iconic movies. In my mind, these are movies that either inspired everything that came after them, example Star Wars, or so emblematic of their time and culture, example John Hughes. Just like we don't relate to the 1950s era sock hops, drive-ins, quarterbacks, and cheerleaders, audiences today wouldn't relate to the mood and characters of the 1980s. A modern Ferris Bueller wouldn't be credible if he didn't Instagram his exploits. And a school administrator stalking a truant around town wouldn't have the same playful tone today, although you could still keep Jeffrey Jones and he would be perfect creep for a modern, fearful audience. I think the best remakes are the different generations of James Bond, fitting for their time and a little jarring outside of it. I read The Martian before I saw the movie, and I think it's one of the best movie adaptations of a book. It's the equivalent of the Rocky movies for nerds and problem solvers, and the Mars scenes are straight up gorgeous. I would happily join a Martian movie club. Every space movie you mentioned is great, so I'll add Interstellar.
Yeah.
It's deep and scientifically demanding, but gorgeous and rewarding. Every time I watch it, I say, wow, people really love Dark Knight for Christopher Nolan to be allowed to make such a wonky movie. I love it, but it's definitely not for everyone. Cheers, Peter Christensen.
Yeah, Interstellar, unfortunately, gets very sci-fi towards the end. That I was thinking a lot about Interstellar. I loved Interstellar, but it I don't know. It gets to where I think it kind of self-disqualifies. And I know we talked like 2001: A Space Odyssey was part of that, but that's to me a more credible what if kind of thing. I don't know, but it's a good movie. I haven't
seen that movie.
Oh, you should see it though. You should see it.
I know. It's one of those things where it's like it's kind of on my list, but I haven't managed to get back around to it. So I will have to check that out.
Yep.
I like pretty much everything that Peter has to say in this email. I don't think there's anything that I really, really disagree with. So cheers to you, Peter.
Thank you, Peter.
Over on Facebook, which you can find us, facebook.com/ForwardOfNerd, Josh Stapleton, my brother, the bum, says, I too really like Apollo 13, but that's partially because as kids we watched it all the time. But it's a great movie. Like you guys, I was really pleasantly surprised by The Martian. So in the interest of not totally copying you guys, I'll also list a sci-fi movie that slid under the radar. And that movie is Europa Report. Basically, it's about a group of scientists looking for life on one of Jupiter's moons. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. I have not seen that, Josh. I wonder how long that's been out. Is it like a recent movie or is it kind of older?
I've never even heard of it.
Me neither, but it sounds cool. So I'll have to go take my brother's advice and go watch Europa Report. Probably right after Interstellar, though.
Gotta watch Interstellar.
Which is, by the way, thinking of The Martian, we've freaking landed another vehicle on Mars that's taken some amazing, beautiful pictures that looks right out of the movie The Martian. Just saying.
NASA stole their idea from The Martian. Great.
Oh, look at NASA doing it again. We have a voicemail, Stu. You want to take a guess as to who left us a voicemail this week?
Gosh, no idea. Who could it possibly be?
Well, let's give a listen. Let's find out. What do you say?
Let's do it.
Good morning, Fortress of Nerditude. This is Paul Calico calling in for the question of the week. My favorite space race movie. Well, I think I'm going to have to go with the classic Apollo 13. The movie is just really well directed, got some really good actors. And I know people might not like this one, but Gravity with Sandra Bullock, I thought it was an okay movie. And now for the second part. What space race exploration movie should we rewatch? And I'm going to go for a weird one. I hope it qualifies. WALL-E. I know we go out into space and we're exploring to find Earth again. Let me know what you guys think about that one, WALL-E. If I can't have that one, I'll take Apollo 13 for both of my answers. Anyway, guys, keep up the good work. Else time.
So, WALL-E.
WALL-E.
The thing about WALL-E, and I actually loved WALL-E. I don't think it fits where we were going in any way, but WALL-E was a very carefully disguised social commentary piece.
Yes, it was.
Well, I guess maybe not so carefully disguised. I mean, it was
right.
That's Yeah, that's some satire in pure form about where we're heading, and not in a slow pace either.
No, not at
But
all.
I love Wall-E. But Apollo 13. You know, as much as I love that movie, I still really want to see The Martian again.
I can do both. I can do both so easy. I personally, I have a strong desire to watch The Martian. I almost watched it this week, but I literally thought to myself, if I do this, it feels like I'd be cheating on Stu. And so I didn't. But I was close.
Is The Martian streaming anywhere?
I own it on Netflix. Or not Netflix. I
you
purchased
own
it through I own it on the Netflix. I purchased it through iTunes.
Looks like I'd probably get it on Amazon Prime, but
there you go.
what do you say? Let's veto everything and just go for The Martian. We're obviously really excited about it.
Yeah, I think we have to.
We've got to, and maybe Apollo 13 will follow suit, because it's been a long time since I've seen that. But I feel a compulsion to watch The Martian again.
I do too. I don't know why, but I seriously, like, that whole conversation, the whole time I kept thinking, I gotta rewatch The Martian, man. That was good.
Yep.
So
I just actually bought it on Amazon Prime. So the power of the internet on the podcast, live streaming right here, right now. I bought The Martian.
Nice. Well, let's talk after the podcast and we'll make plans.
Let's do it.
Super friends, thank you so much for your interaction. We look forward to talking to you each and every week. I am extremely excited to talk with you this upcoming week after we have our conversation and our discussion tonight. But you can hit us up at all those normal places: our email, our Twitter, our Facebook, and then our voicemail like Paul did. And I forgot to give that number out, but that's 801-477-7687. Stu, super friends are out there. They're listening to the show, but how can they help us this week as we're approaching the holiday season?
Well, when we have actually made contact with other life forms, they can mention the podcast. Make sure to show them all the bits about where we've talked about other extraterrestrial life and how awesome it is, and that we said it was going to happen first. All those fun little bits. Otherwise, on iTunes and whatever alien rating system they have, if they want to give us a 5-star rating system, do they have stars? Is it like maybe supernovas or black holes? 5 black holes! That seems like it would be bad.
5 planets.
5 former planets named Pluto. Anyway, give us 5-star on iTunes. We love those. They help us out. They get us noticed. You could leave your comments for it. We can get on some popularity lists, because it's a great big popularity contest out there on the interwebs. And we would be greatly appreciative of that. And then, as always, mention us to your friends, mention the topics to your friends, ask your friends what kind of space movies they'd like, mention some conversations about the podcast, and get us out there.
E.T. Phone Fortress of Nerditude. I just got that mental picture now of extraterrestrials talking about our podcast.
Do you think E.T. would have sat there listening to the podcast while eating Reese's Pieces?
As he was, looking at plant life? Sure, yeah.
Yeah, he's got some, big earbuds.
Yeah, totally. Totally. All right, Stu. So last week we had this amazing thing happen. We got the Captain Marvel trailer on Monday. It dropped literally 45 minutes before we recorded the podcast.
Yep.
Then we hear word that on Wednesday the teaser for Avengers 4 was going to drop. And then that got delayed because of the funeral for President George Herbert Walker Bush was going on. And so it got pushed to Friday. Now, something happened on Friday. That teaser dropped, except, wait. It was not a teaser.
It was not a teaser. Holy crap.
It was not a teaser. It was a full-fledged trailer. How many times do you think you watched that thing?
Oh, boy. Well, I subjected pretty much everybody I know to watching it on the spot when I met up with them.
Yep.
I've probably watched it about 15 times.
I'm probably a little behind you. I'd say I'm closer to 10.
I watched it like 4 times back to back to back to back when it first dropped. Like when I texted you about it, I was probably on my third watch.
Yeah, I did enjoy our messaging back and forth because it was like, oh, what about this? Oh, what about this? Oh, what about this? Oh, we know what we're talking about next week. Oh, we better stop talking because otherwise it's not going to feel fresh when we talk about it. Yeah. I've watched it a number of times with people as well. Isn't that like the sign of like a true nerd where we're like, I love this so much, I want to force you to watch this thing that I love right now so you can love it as well?
That's why my older daughter hates board games.
Yes.
Anyway.
She's played lots of board games?
Yes. And watched a lot of Star Trek.
Yep. Okay, so let's talk about this trailer. Let's high 10,000 foot view, and then let's kind of like go into all the things that were shown, and then maybe things that are not shown. Because I felt like while we had like a almost 2.5 minute trailer, I felt like we saw a lot, but we also didn't get a lot.
Which is good. I mean, because you don't want to try to watch the whole movie in 2.5 minutes,
right?
But my high level take, there's 2 important takeaways from this. One is my disappointment. Well, not that I was disappointed in Captain Marvel so much as I was disappointed that it wasn't as exciting as I was hoping the trailer would be for me.
Okay.
Like the feeling of Marvel fatigue, the feeling of being desensitized to all of it. But then I had mentioned, that Infinity War did still do it for me, even after all this time, that it was just, it's got to be really, really exceptional and well done to really get my attention these days. And I think the trailer for Endgame definitely proved that point for me. I am still getting chills every time I watch it. Aside from the tear from Captain America, I loved every single bit about it. Obviously, I don't have the context to know what scene that's in there, but it felt oddly placed. But it just really put me right back in the frame of mind that I was in at the end of Infinity War, right when my jaw was on the floor, that just half of everybody just poofed.
Right.
No ceremony, no nothing, just gone.
Yeah, there was a lot of emotion. I definitely felt like this trailer had just a lot of emotion. Like it was really trying to play on your emotions of, where you were at the end of Infinity War.
Yep.
And I felt that it did that in spades, like very, very well.
For sure.
The other thing I think that I kind of took away from this is that I'm glad that it doesn't like give us a ton of hope, like, it's showing like some big battle or big scene, some big contest against Thanos, because I think that would have really undercut the tone that the trailer was going for.
Oh,
and
that just gave me kind of like a sickening feeling in my stomach to think that we may see like a trailer in the future, though, of heroes that have poofed.
Yep. I don't think they're going to.
There are 3 things I do not want to see in any trailer for Endgame. I don't want to see anyone that's poofed. That is the biggest thing for me that I don't want to have spoiled before I go into the movie. Yep. I don't want to see Captain Marvel in it. We know that she's going to be there, but anything that may allude to, hint, provide
would ruin
speculation.
The Captain Marvel movie.
Yes.
Yep, I'm with you.
And I forgot what the third thing was, so...
Well, I agree with your first 2 points, so I'm going to preemptively agree with your third point, even though you don't remember what it is.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah. I'm with you. I hope... I don't think they need to do another trailer. I know they're going to. I know how the movie industry works, right? You drop the big first one, and then when you get about a month out from the film, you're going to drop another one that's probably going to play on TV, that's going to show a little bit different parts. It's going to be just different enough to really kind of help keep that hype train going. I would be so happy if they didn't show us any other trailers.
I almost want to just kind of sequester myself from the internet until at least, anything Endgame related until the movie comes out. I saw exactly what I wanted to see. It got me right back in the mood. But we know we're going to see that stuff. And that's sad because it's not the producers, it's not the editors, it's marketing people that make the trailers.
It's the marketing.
And whatever it takes to sell the movie, and we know that the trailers have definitely spoiled movies before.
Yep. Now, so I wonder, and I hope that we're not getting.
Oh, I don't want to see any X-Men or any new crossover stuff that has. I don't want to see anybody new yet.
Yeah, I'm with you.
There we go. That's what I was thinking.
I knew I was with you on the third point before I heard it, and now that I hear it, I'm with you. Okay, I don't remember what I was saying now, but it doesn't matter.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it'll come back to me in a minute, I'm sure. I love the title of this movie because it directly comes from a line from Doctor Strange. I'm glad it's not the other title that was kind of being leaked, which was, I think, Annihilation.
I was not on board with Annihilation.
Yeah, no. But the fact that it's called Endgame, because you know that something still has to happen, and that our heroes are not done with Thanos.
It's been said before, this is not going to be a happy movie.
No, it's not.
We know it's likely to have a happy ending, but this is going to be dark.
Which I think is awesome. I think it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this trailer. Let's break this trailer down. Let's talk about the things we saw and the things we didn't